But hey, I can't see myself until I start. So there is the paradox. My mom got me some more beef jerky. She always seems to pick me up some jerky. I like having beef jerky on hand. It didn't sound right. Oh, it did. Yeah. I like having beef jerky. Hey, wow! Just off the bat, usually I have to wait. Thoughts on potatoes? They have eyes. Potatoes are easy to grow if you have lots of hay. You were the first one? Well, then put first in the comments. Hit one hit 2 subs. Welcome to Eddie's Funhouse. I'll be doing this for about an hour or more. I don't know. I actually have an hour and a half. And a vid hits 50 views. Are you talking about your channel? A lot of people need to make some content. Start making some content so we can at least have something to look at when we come to your channel. Well, that's good. You're making progress. I am always progression. I like to progress. No, I am, yeah, progression. The progression of. Thoughts on Cherry Gold Dust? You've already asked me that question. I think she's quite a gal. Cherry Gold Dust. Calm down, Mike. Stop all caps. Yeah, I've noticed that. Why all caps? That usually implies that you're shouting when you use all caps. Corey, don't make a Karen. Don't be a Karen. Karen Care-alike. Wow, he started with a capital letter. No matter what you struggle with, you can go to heaven by just believing that Jesus died and rose again. Corey needs a Rick Martle's Boston Crab. Bro, all I said was calm down. Mikey D. Yeah, just don't use capital letters. Bro. It's like reading one of those kids' books. See Jane. See Dick and Jane. See the dog run. Look how fast the dog runs. Is everyone having a good time so far? We're all about good times. LOL. Bunch of gangster kids on here. Gangsters. The gangster kids. This is good jerky. Slightly peppered. Smoked to perfection. I think it is smoked. Slow cooked and hardwood smoked. You already asked me that. I talked about the convenience of a P.O. box. People don't know where you live when you have a P.O. box, unless they follow you home. They have little GPS trackers now, or they've had them, I'm pretty sure. Twinkies, we talked about Twinkies too. Twinkies are forever. You can leave them somewhere. I keep getting reminded of that scene. There was a scene in a movie. These guys were out on a ferry. Somebody put a Twinkie on the rail of the ferry and said, "This Twinkie will be here when we come back because it's so full of preservatives." I do not like Spam. I will not eat it. I will not eat Spam. I do not like Spam. When people are trying to do a live thoughts on Holiday Inn Hotel. I like the Holiday Inn. I like a good hotel, you know, a well-kept hotel next to a beach or next to a theme park. I'm going to have some visualization. I want to visualize myself in a, hey Charlotte, I want to visualize myself in a hotel room, just relaxing on the bed, looking out the window, having a great view, and then the next morning, go to the beach. Welcome back. Thoughts on Charlotte. She's been with me for a long time. She's persistent. I noticed when they were blocking her, she kept getting new channels. This is her original channel. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that all the OGs are back. Aww. I like when people are nice to each other. I like when I can bite through the jerky. There we go. You got to put emphasis on your top teeth. Does everyone else have a snack today? Oh, look at that. He even says you're welcome. I've been learning about the law of assumption. I'm having a crash course in the law of assumption. Neville Goddard talks about it. If you assume that you're not going to get your wish fulfilled, then that's what happens. I'm trying to get drunk on Pepsi right now. My headphones broke. That's sad. They don't make headphones to last very long. I have a pair of headphones. If you use them a lot, they start to wear away on the cushion part. Today might warm up. It's been the past few days have been really cold. Thoughts on people that commit suicide. That's an interesting subject. Because some people, I think, are ready to leave this world. They're ready. They've done all they feel they can do. And some people just struggle with mental illness and depression. And I don't think nobody wants to help a person who is suffering from depression. The cord broke. Oh, damn. I know they wear away after a while, don't they? Plastic starts to get hard. Starts to get, it's not as pliable as it used to be. Okay. I believe they go to heaven or a better place if this life hasn't been fair. Yeah. Sometimes no matter how hard you try, there are things that happen in your subconscious mind. They say 95% of what we do are subconscious reactions. And I think the more we understand our subconscious mind, the more we can relate to our existence. Sometimes right before bed, that's the best time to become, never mind, you got your cord working? Did it pop out, pop back in? I'm not glitching. I'm not sorry I took the money. It's interesting because it's almost like who determines when life ends or if they want life to end. Like in Canada and some other countries, I think Switzerland, they they actually have a. My friend's sister Debbie committed suicide in 2007 in San Jose. Hello, X Trigger. It's been a while, hasn't it? Hasn't it? It's good to see the OGs coming in. All the people who were with me in the beginning. How did she do it, if you don't mind me asking? I think God must be very cruel if it's believed those who are sad take their life to go to hell. You know what I think is they want people to stay alive so they can benefit. I've noticed this in the medical field. They want people to be alive so they can keep collecting from the insurance companies, so the pills can still be sold. You can't sell pills to a dead person. You can't sell pills to somebody who. The thing about cancer that bothers me is they give them false hope sometimes. It's a paradox. I love paradoxes. Some people, like my brother, he survived his cancer. But there are people like Shannon Doherty, for example. She had cancer and they told her you're in remission, and then it comes back with a vengeance. It comes back and spreads even worse. So again, it's not 100%. They shouldn't build up somebody who has cancer. They shouldn't build up their hope. And it's interesting that life has paradoxes. Very true. Some pay big. Yes, they do, just to stay alive. Why are we so afraid of death? If we all believe in God, if we all are Christians and we have the hope of heaven, why are we so afraid of death? Me, it's like, I just don't want to feel the pain. Me, I'm okay with death, just no prolonged pain. Have a good day, Corey. Thank you for saying goodbye. Because I think that's what causes people to fear death is pain. What happens when the process of dying. That's what hospice nurses do. They make you comfortable in the dying process. They make you comfortable. They give you the right amount of medication to keep you from feeling too much pain. Hi, Ed. Did you start? Yes, I did. No, I did not shart today. Thank God. I had my morning poo, and I look forward to it because it's the last poo of the day. Anyways, morning poo. I can't say enough about it. Today, as I was standing at the stove cooking, I felt it coming on, and I made it. I feel like more atheists are afraid of death because they believe there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing. Or I think that's what it is. It's the unknown. It's when I was faced with death, it was scary. When I thought I was going to die, and I was disappointed. I thought I was going to die, and you start to feel that pending doom, which I think is your body dying. When your body is dying, you feel a pending doom, and you wonder, okay, is it over now? And there's pain and there's dying. Okay, some people suffer and not die. They can die without suffering. Like some people are killed instantly, like from heart attack or whatever an instant death. They don't feel it. They just some people they say in the paranormal community, when someone dies, they don't know they died. A medium has to tell them that they are dead now. And again, paradoxes. Are we afraid of death, or are we afraid of the pain that comes with death? Do you believe child pred who have harmed other deserve forgiveness? I don't think if they now repentance, I mean really repent. It's hard to come back from stuff. You know, if you've done things and then you decide you want to repent, you've already dishonored yourself, dishonored your family, and you've already done harm, and then you want to repent. It's hard. Again, another paradox, because a lot of people who are let out of prison murder again. A lot of people who are let out, like that dating game killer, you know, he harmed children. He was in the process of murdering a child before he was caught. And so again, forgiveness should come with repentance. If you do not repent, then forgiveness is useless. Forgiveness is just it's a stupid thing to forgive somebody um, who's a recidivist. And so then again, it's like casting your pearls before swine. You know, those swine are just going to trample your pearls. And I think the pearls of forgiveness should be given only to worthy people. Because if you have a repentant heart, that means that you're aware that you've done something wrong. It didn't seem wrong when you were doing it, but then like when you get older, you start to realize how much of a jerk you were, or how mean you were, or selfish. When you start to come to that conclusion, I guess, or that awareness, then I think forgiveness should be a gradual thing. It's harder to forgive yourself, really. When you do something wrong, everybody else has already forgotten about it, but you never really forgive yourself. Then you have to deem yourself worthy. Are you worthy of your own forgiveness? Because there's some things I've done in life where I go, man, why wasn't I just put down after that? You know, after killing somebody's turtle, it was like, you know, things like that. I was a turtle murderer, you know, when I was a kid, when I didn't know any better. You know, I guess for some reason I just wanted to kill a turtle. And you're back. Well, hello there. I guess we're discussing the skeletons in our closet. And again, it's hard. You know what? God says, I will have mercy upon whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion upon whom I will have compassion. So if God is having compassion on you, maybe there's hope. I don't know. It's like asking for forgiveness. You can experience having forgiveness without asking it. You know, for example, if you step on someone's toe on the subway and it hurt real bad, I think you should say I'm sorry. In the Navajo tradition, they don't have words for I'm sorry. You're supposed to forgive. You're supposed to forgive. They don't have words for I'm sorry. But I think it helps a lot. It's easier to forgive someone when they really mean it, when they say I'm sorry. And you know, because you know, it was a mistake. I'm sorry. You know, I was speaking my mind or venting, or There's so many reasons why we mess up. It's like we're imperfectly perfect people. The Bible believes all sin is the same. Yeah, when but then again, I think there is the duality. Okay, that's one of the Hermetic principles is duality. There's good, there's evil, there's love, there's hate, but to what degree? So it's duality and polarity. You have good, you have evil, but to what degree do you go? Where do you turn the dial? And I think murdering somebody, I think murdering a kid, kicking a kicking a puppy down the stairs, there's severities of sin or iniquities, and it's harder to forgive some sins, I think, than to forgive, like if somebody farts in your face while on the subway, they don't know you're there. That's an easily forgive. It's hard to live it down, but it's a forgivable because the guy didn't know you were there. He just thought, because I've done that. I thought nobody was behind me, and then I find out there was somebody behind me, which is humiliating. And yeah, I think a deliberate sin is harder to forgive. If somebody deliberately harms you, calling you a name or fat shaming you or whatever, then yeah, there's screwing up and then there's really screwing up. Like when you're a drunk driver and you plow through a crowd of sixth graders, you know. Yeah, that's what I think. It's hard. You got to use your own judgment. What would Jesus do? I used to see that a lot. What would Jesus do? But then again, there is that punishment. I believe we punish ourselves. That's why we're stuck where we are, because we're stubborn, we're ignorant, we're arrogant, we're greedy. What keeps us where we are is what we need to be aware of. What we actually believe, because belief and doubt, it's the same thing in action. You can believe and then you can doubt at the same time. Because it's the same power in action. If you doubt something, you are turning it off. If you believe something, you're turning it on. And that's what you have to do is let the doubt die. And it's hard because old habits, it's an old habit, doubting. Doubting that you're going to make it to the next day. Doubting that you're going to have enough money. I've seen miracles, but then the more we acknowledge miracles, the more we realize how easy they come, how easily miracles come. We don't even know what miracles are really. We define something as a miracle. Like the fact that I can scratch my arm right now. That's a miracle. It's a miracle that I can do this. But I don't judge it. A lot of times when we ask for a miracle, we start judging it right away. We start saying, is it really possible? And then you're shutting it off. See, that's the paradox. You're shutting off your miracle by not believing that your miracle is going to happen. So when you ask for a miracle, don't judge it. Expect it. You go from judging to expecting. If you go from judging the miracle to expecting the miracle, then the miracle manifests. Hello, Shoba. I gotta take a deep breath. I get really worked up about these paradoxes. I think that's, if I were a saint, I'd be the saint of paradoxes. Paradoxes, because you're supposed to be good, but then you're supposed to tell the truth, but you always have to lie. Looks like TikTok is going to be banned. Really? TikTok itself? Well, maybe it's a good thing I didn't start, did I? Didn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it a good thing that I didn't start? They're banning TikTok because people are getting too expressive. There's too much freedom on TikTok. Is this part of the cancel culture? I keep hearing about the cancel culture. I think that's why people don't believe there's a God, because they doubt there's a God. They doubt there's a God, so they get that result. If you don't believe there's a God, you're not going to see God because you doubt that there's a God. See? And that's one of the funny little paradoxes. Qu'est-ce ho? That's how are you doing? I'm learning. I'm trying to remember all those. Qu'est-ce ho? I think once we really consider these things, why do we not see miracles? Because we don't believe in miracles. We don't allow miracles to happen. Our conscious mind shuts down a miracle. Oh, well, I got that right then. Qu'est-ce ho? That's like saying, Oye, ¿cómo va? I think in Spanish that means, hey, how's it going? Oye, ¿cómo va? Have I captured an audience yet? Oh, you're looking for Ganesha? There he is. He's got his trident, a little Ganesha, mover of obstacles. That's what we're doing in life. We're saying to the mountain, show me. Show me. Were you even looking? There we go. There's our image. Images have been used for a long time, and they must be effective because it predates Moses. It predates Islam. These images that people make to acknowledge their deities. What was I thinking about? The paradoxes, all these what ifs, or not. That's what duality is. All truths are half truths. If you read the Kabbalion, the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, I think I'm on the road to that ruling the all. Because they say if you figure out all of these 7 principles, you can rule the all. Watching my nephews. Oh, cool. You got nephews. So Shobha lives in India. She's a wife with 2 kids and a husband. And now she's watching her 2 nephews. God of the Bible commands prophets to kill. You know what? Have you ever been following Morg? There's this guy called Morg, or named Morg, I guess. And he goes into Gnosticism. And he's talking about what you're talking about. Say hi to them. Oh, hello, nephews. I guess this is a family show. Why not? And so there is the true God, and then there's the demiurge. The demiurge is the one who's demanding sacrifices and worship. The true God, the true creator, is hi from Maine. Hello. Welcome to Eddie's Funhouse, where we discuss everything. It's a fun house of the mind. That's what I entitled it. A fun house of the mind. And basically, it's not literal. The Gnostic texts are not literal. They're descriptive, which I think is where Greek mythology comes from. You love my words. Well, thank you. You love my words. Well, I will share my words. My word. I keep noticing my beard. I can't, yeah. Yay. So we're all this different age groups. Because I've always noticed that. I've always wondered, the real creator doesn't have an ego. The real creator realizes that kahana kaya, kahana kaya. You gotta go? Is that what you were saying? I'm trying to remember these. She's trying to teach me Hindi, and I think I'm learning a little bit. Can you say I am Sigma? I am Sigma. We should make a movie called I Am Sigma, and then try to define what Sigma is. Because a lot of what's written has power. A lot of the books that were written, like Never Ending Story. You ever seen that movie, Never Ending Story? Where the reader of the book was actually the creator. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. No. Is everybody interested in what we're talking about? Not everybody's interested, I think. This is all shout outs. It's becoming a shout out thing. Oh, food. Okay, food. I'm a slow learner, I guess. So how can the Bible be good if God commands death? Which God though? The the God that we're anthropomorphizing? We try to grasp God because we are created beings. We try to understand God by making God a created being. And I think that's where we fall short. Eating. So are you eating right now? Kasha, you've got to make some videos. Just say in the videos, that way I can understand the pronunciation. Religion. What's my religion? I was raised Christian. I was raised with Baptist. First I was a Baptist. Then I started to associate with the Pentecostal. I the subconscious mind accepts everything as fact. So if you really believe that you're poor, you're going to be poor. If you really believe that you are blessed, you're going to be blessed. Take, for example, what was his name? Not Achilles. Yeah, Achilles. Okay, not Achilles. Achilles was dipped in the river Styx. Um, Alexander the Great. Okay, Alexander the Great was told he was a son of Zeus, and he believed it, and he became a great conqueror. You know, so our belief can determine our fate. Wow, that sounds majestic, or whatever. It's profound. There is only one purpose to be one God, God of the Bible. So if there are two gods, do we believe? See, the way it was explained to me, there's Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth is the demiurge, okay? He basically wanted to be God, so he got people convinced that he was God, that he was to be served and worshipped. And the real God is who Jesus sent. God sent Jesus. The one who sent Jesus was the real God, trying to teach us the real God, you know, and about the real God. But then the scriptures were 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 twisted, were omitted. There were some scriptures that were taken out, that were omitted from the Gnostic text. So it's interesting. It's like the truth will set you free. The truth will make you free. And I think we're learning the truth. I'm doing all right. How are you? How are you? I think what we're starting to do is the death of the ego. God is becoming more powerful than the ego. That's what I've been noticing, because wage earning and bringing home the bacon and all that, that's starting to fade away. We're starting to become more self-sustained, so we don't have to depend upon our traditional ways of making money. Uh, but the God Jesus speaks of commands death. So the Bible is a lie. I guess that's something that we really need to look into, because seek and you shall find. And there's a lot that was omitted. If you follow, I'm going to have to leave one of his videos in my community page, and you can follow him for a while, because he goes into this. He goes into the omitted books of the Gnostic texts. Okay, there's a lot that's in the Bible, yes, but it's not the whole story. Like Adam and Eve, the story of Adam and Eve. Yes, not the whole story. There's some changes to that story. And because again, there's celestial, there's what is beyond matter, beyond comprehension. And we are created beings. They say that Yaldabaoth entrapped the divine into physical matter. And I guess it's our job to try to shake ourselves from physical matter. Because what it is we become in agreement. We have an agreement with matter. And we have to come out of agreement with matter. Because we are more than our physical bodies. If you follow Robert Monroe from the Monroe Institute, he teaches that in those gateway experience or experiments. He gets the right half and the left half of the brain to be in sync with each other. And I think once we study more about the left half and the right half of the brain, we'll start to understand why we're trapped in matter. Because there should be a balance between the two. I think we use the left side of our brain way too much, because it's logic and reasoning. Some things are beyond logic and reasoning. That's where the ego death happens, I think. Some people believe the book filled with fear. It is. Make no mistake about it. The fear of being thrown into a lake of fire, fear of punishment because you did something wrong, and separation from God. You basically, here's the way I describe it. God not only creates, but he inhabits. So, and it kind of goes along the lines of, know ye not that you are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwells within you. So he makes the temple, and then he dwells in it. Okay, so you basically are inhabited by God, but God is listening to you the whole time. He gives you free will, and then he's listening to you and just basically agreeing with you. So if you say, I'm poor, I'm sick, I'm aging, you know, then God goes, okay, sure, because he wants to experience what you're experiencing. And that's the way I figured it out, or that's my theory about our relationship with God. So basically, as you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it unto me. That's what Jesus said. What Jesus said. Yeah, so you're basically interacting with God when you're interacting with other people. So as long as you have good relationships with people, you have good relations. Even Zeus and Hermes. Okay, Zeus and Hermes went into the world and started knocking on doors. They appeared as peasants, you know. Some people were so mean, and Zeus wanted to destroy the people who were mean, you know. And Hermes said, no, wait. And it's kind of like, it goes along the lines of Elijah, okay? Elijah came knocking on doors, and that woman fed him, even though she didn't have much. And then Elijah blessed her. See, it's the same story with Zeus and Hermes. You know, they went knocking on doors and they were looking for hospitality, and nobody was giving them hospitality. So that's what made Zeus mad. So then this old couple took them in, showed them hospitality, and they Zeus had let them become trees and grow together. So if that doesn't sound like an analogy, it's an analogy. It's not literal. You know, he didn't literally make them into trees and have them grow together. So if you think of a marriage, they're two trees growing together, you know. So I think that's what it is how we treat each other is God experimenting, seeing who is going to love. Like if you love your mom, you love your dad, you love your brothers, your puppy dogs. Do you know the story of Medusa and Athena? Yeah, that was Poseidon. Okay, Poseidon had uh, raped Medusa, if I could use that word, and so she was one of her priestesses, Athena's priestess. Yeah, so she couldn't punish Poseidon, but she punished Athena. Yeah, and so, but you know what? Out of that, Perseus was able to defeat the Kraken. He was able to defeat Atlas because all he did was hold up her head. But you know what? The Pegasus, there we go. Okay, Pegasus was born out of out of that union, I guess, between Poseidon and Athena. In Clash of the Titans, they got it all wrong. You know, the Pegasus wasn't there until after Medusa's head was chopped off. In the real story, it was Hermes' slippers. So Hermes' slippers was what made him able to go to and fro, and he borrowed Hades' helmet. Hades' helmet was what made him invisible. It was kind of like, I guess it was a version of the story Clash of the Titans. I'd like to make like, it's interesting, these stories like the Iliad, the story of Odysseus, and the great things they did, which makes you think that they were probably like the Bible says, people of renown, people who are heroes. Heracles was like that. You know, he helped. Um, what was his name? It was Prometheus. Okay, Prometheus loved the human race because he created the human race. He had help from Athena, which kind of goes along with the Gnostic text because Yaldabaoth was creating the human race, but he couldn't breathe life into them. So, uh, who was that other one? It was, try to remember her name. It was, who represents wisdom, okay? She breathed the breath of life into the human race, and she was laughing because he was calling himself a god, but he couldn't create a race. Sophia was her name. And so, and then the other beings, the higher beings, were mocking him because he says, okay, so you say you're a god, you know. And this is stuff that's omitted from the Bible. They don't say this in the Bible. They had to dig it up out of the Nag Hammadi library. And I think it's deliberate. Deliberate, that's what keeps us trapped here is our ignorance. Any of the Bible says, my people die for lack of knowledge, you know. And once we start getting knowledge, we'll be set free. We'll feel that freedom that we're supposed to feel in the first place. It's weird, isn't it? You know, it's like we're waking up to all lies, you know. So we can have what we want. We don't have to God is wanting, God, that's what God is. The original God wants to give, wants to love, wants to sustain his creation. But we're taught to think that uh, we have to be good little boys and girls, or we'll get a lump of coal in our stocking. And that's kind of like, wow, really? Okay. You can't have knowledge when the Bible is a source of knowledge. I know, with that's what it is they want to scare us into being bound, into agreeing with this experience of matter. Hello, David, welcome. So if I talk to everybody away, I can talk people away or to sleep. I've talked my brother to sleep before. But I think that's what it is. My booming voice, I guess, makes people kind of go, okay, well, I'll check for something else. but, but I'm very passionate about this. You know, these discoveries, and what do we do now that we know, now that we have liberty? Ed, what is the master key? There was a book called The Master Key, and it was a book about visualization and exercises. But I didn't have the attention span it kind of reminds me of the Gateway experience. The link is in the description. Check it out. You listen to binaural beats, and he starts to um, show you aspects of yourself that we're not um, we're not paying attention to. You know, like when you daydream in school, they hate it when you daydream. They don't want you to daydream in school. But I believe when you're daydreaming, your mind is experiencing things. Your mind is actually going where you really want to be. What they should do is let you daydream, let your mind go where it really wants to be, and then kind of foster that. Foster, for example, if a guy is hiking, if a guy is painting a picture, or um, in a recording studio, if that's where their mind is going, they should be fostered in that direction. What's the difference between OJ seasoning and the old Bay seasoning? I don't know. Seasoning. Is my reading that right? I really don't know. Is that like a seasoning for meats or seasoning for vegetables? I'm ignorant, sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, wow. God is a good example of and you know what? That's the result of people trying to understand God. They're trying to understand God, and they basically put themselves into their depiction of God. So if you have a narcissist writing about God, then you're going to get a narcissistic God. Thoughts on the movie Star is Born with Lady Gaga? Is that they're doing that again? The Star is Born has already been made. You light up my life. You give me hope to carry on. That was a movie called A Star is Born. And now I guess Lady Gaga is probably producing that movie. She sees herself in that movie. Let me know if I'm getting too loud, because I get loud. I Thoughts on Judy Garland? Okay. I think her first performance was in The Wizard of Oz. Meet Me in St. Louis, I think. Meet me in St. Louis, Louis. Meet me at the fair. She was one of the worst treated stars. They gave her cigarettes and barbiturates and downers so that they gave her drugs to wake her up. They gave her drugs to go to sleep. And her diet was basically cigarettes and coffee, because they wanted to keep her weight down. They called her a fat pig and smacked her because she was laughing. She was laughing during one of the scenes. And yeah, a lot of the, yeah, I think they were pretty cruel to Judy Garland. She was a phenomenal singer. She could cold read. Have you ever heard of cold reading? When you just pick up a script and then you remember the whole script. She was good at that. I envy that. I've always wanted to know if I could remember the script. Because sometimes it takes a few takes to get the lines right. Or sometimes people just forget their lines. That's the way the brain works. Whatever you're trying to remember, you don't remember. Yeah. Those are my thoughts on Judy Garland. The Wizard of Oz was the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow. The Rainbow was that song. It was one of her favorite songs, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I don't know if she wrote the song. They probably incorporated it into the movie. Because it was based on a cyclone. It was based on a tornado. Where does a rainbow come in? So maybe that was her idea. Judy Garland was so, yes, I know, I feel for her. You never know. I mean, you look into someone's eyes, you could sometimes see what they've been through. That's why I think it was Socrates. One of those, or Stoic, or whatever. Well, anyways, he was saying that always be nice to someone because you never know what they're going through. Also, I heard this one saying, when you're, be careful the toes you step on today because they might be attached to the butt you have to kiss tomorrow. Another abuse case. I know. You can make a list of, I was abused, but you don't realize you're being abused because you're so used to it. You're so used to being treated in such a way that it's common. It's like you're normal. And then other people start to tell you, no, you shouldn't take that. No, that's wrong. That's abuse. You go, really? I've been going through that all my life. And there's certain things, that you can see in a person who's been abused. Like wanting to control things. Being more aggressive uh, about their space, I guess. Or being very lenient, because especially when they're abused by their dad. Because what can you do? What can you do when your dad's abusing you? You guys basically have to take it on the chin. I'm staring out the window again. So we got 2 people. 5 likes, that kind of balances out. I got more likes than people. All right. So it is 1:26. I think at 2 o'clock I can stop. This is my therapy. This is like talk therapy. Just talking to people, answering questions. Ed, this one is hard, but thoughts on animal abuse. You know what? People who are abused sometimes abuse animals because they need to externalize. I've noticed that with my abuse. I sometimes would before I was even aware of it, I would start externalizing my abuse because it's like you want to, whatever you're feeling, you want to put it on something else, even if it's a puppy dog or a cat. And it's like, you have to catch yourself when you're doing that. You have to catch yourself and say, hey, wait a minute. I have to get control of this. I have to get control of, I don't think it's justifiable by any means. It's never justified, abusing anybody. And it's like animals usually are just looking to fit in. They have the pack mentality. They're part of a group. Unless they're solitary, you're like maybe a hawk or, but still they have their mates. Who they're mating with. Thoughts on Bradley Cooper? Bradley Cooper. He was in the Silver Linings Playbook. He was in quite a few movies. There was one where he was on a drug that made him extra smart. I forget what the name of the movie was. Do you know the story of Job? Yeah. It was like God was proud of Job. And he said, Satan, where have you been? Well, I've been in the world. Because basically Satan is the accuser, or the adversary. And he just wanted Satan's opinion on Job. He was so pleased with Job. And he said, well, God, if you took everything you gave him away from him, he'll curse you to your face. He's pretty good now that he has all these things. I'm kind of suffering that too. It seems like everything I had is now not there anymore. All the things I enjoyed, all the things that, because I was into simple pleasures, being able to see well, being able to just go in my car and disappear somewhere in the woods. And maybe this is my test to see what I will do. What will I do now that I'm suffering a little bit? Do I keep a good attitude? Do I keep trying to find out why things are the way they are? Or do I just get mad? Some people, I guess, just get mad. They get mad, they get frustrated. I've been there. I get mad, I get frustrated. I just feel like why is life continuing except to humiliate me? I feel there's humbling and then there's humiliation. There are things that I've been humbled in a lot of ways, but I've also experienced humiliation, Just being alive and having the shame of not having a job, having the shame of not being able to do the job I used to. And so eventually it was because Job started to pray for his friends. Job started to pray for his friends. That's why God let up on him. Because and restored to him what he lost, what was taken. Because remember, God allowed Satan to test him. And that's the way the story goes. So God abused him. When you think of it, he gave the devil permission. Yeah, it's like they can't do anything to you unless God allows it. So God allowed all that, even to the point where he had sores on his skin. He had sores, and he was repenting, crying out to God for deliverance from his circumstances. And then I think that's what it is. When he started to focus on other people, when he started to pray for his friends, that's when God had mercy on him, I guess, and started giving him back what he lost. God create the devil. They say he created everything. But then again, free will. Even the angels, David killed somebody because he was beating on a Jewish person. David also, oh no, that was Moses. Sorry, that was Moses. Moshe in the Hebrew. And David, the Bathsheba story. He saw a man's wife. And, but then again, that's us. That's us in a nutshell. even Solomon, even King Solomon, he left God for a priestess, you know. So I guess the Bible basically shows that everyone has their lusts, their desires, and I guess punishment. I guess it's a cautionary tale. Punishment for being uh, for allowing for indulgence. Mercy. He did nothing wrong. Yeah, mercy. You're talking about Job? It is interesting, isn't it? These stories and how strange they are. You know, you take a perfectly good man and you strip him of everything just to see if what he will do. Just to see what he will do. It's like, wow, how much spare time does he have? How much spare time do God and Satan have to strip a man of everything he has, put sores on his body, kill his livestock, his family, just to see what he'll do, you know? And it's, does the end justify the means? The devil was known as the Lord of the underworld. Yeah, so is Hades. Hades drew the shortest straw. It was Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. And I guess Zeus got the longest straw, and he became ruler of the sky. Kind of like, what was his name? It was, that was Uranus. Uranus was the ruler of the sky. And then Kronos came after that. When was hell named? I really don't know. I guess everybody decided this is hell. They just started calling it hell. Every tradition, every religion calls it hell. In their own language, it's hell. Whatever that place is, it's hell. People call it Gehenna, a place where you put garbage. Hades. You know what? You don't go to, in the Greek myth, you don't go to, it's the underworld, but hell is Tartarus. And you know what? The Bible talks about Tartarus. So it's interesting that all signs point to the same things. The Muslims acknowledge Michael the Archangel, Raphael, Gabriel, Oriel, or Uriel. I think it's Uriel. It means light of God. Sounds like a bully interested in loving, yeah, in loving God. On the whole Disney Channel, on the old Disney Channel, they had cartoon explaining the difference between heaven and hell. Really? I think the difference between heaven and hell is being stubborn. If you're stubborn, you're going to suffer. If you hang on to the things you hang on to, you're going to suffer. If you hang on to poverty, you're going to suffer poverty. If you hang on to hoping that the world is going to change according to your views, I wish I could remember my Greek philosophers. One of them said that the worst evil is resistance. The worst evil is resistance. And isn't that what we do? We resist change. We resist just going with the flow. We don't embrace polarity and duality and gender and correspondence. Because correspondence, I think that's where they get the mirror theory. You know, the universe is just a mirror. Donald Duck was in that cartoon where he had to choose between the two. Isn't that interesting? I didn't know Disney was into magic. I think that's where we get Harry Potter, the idea Bedknobs and Broomsticks. You ever watch that movie? The movie was about an escape from Witch Mountain. You ever watch Escape from Witch Mountain? Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Um, the Sorcerer's Stone or whatever. The Sword in the Stone. He was well into magic. He even mentions one of the goetic demons. When you watch Bedknobs and Broomstick, he mentions Astaroth. He's one of the goetic spirits. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, there was always, like, The Sorcerer's Apprentice was another one, if you remember that movie. So I guess that society as a whole, they all believe that there is a heaven and a hell. And it's our choice whether we want to remain in hell or better ourselves. He was chosen to see how both worlds work. That could be it. Because there's also purgatory. The Catholics mention purgatory. It's not quite heaven, not quite hell. I guess it does. I've noticed the power of the mind. It's it's very volatile. It can be very volatile. It's like you're handling a high explosive. That's why I think keeping your mind clear is very important. Be very careful what you're thinking about, because it's a powerful substance. The mental energy, whatever you think about the most, is usually what you get. Catholic, they made up the name also. Yeah. They all have, it's almost like religion is an invention. It's an invention to make people behave themselves, to get people to build temples, because the Catholics have their temple, Buddhists have temples. It's all about temples and going there to worship and going there to support in some way, whether it's monetarily. And it's all supposed to be a way to get to heaven. It's like heaven, they say, is within you. Definitely, they can't think for themselves. Yeah. Or ignorance. Some people are ignorant for a while. They're ignorant for a while, and then they start to smarten up. They say, wait a minute, I'm already manifesting. It's a matter of what I'm manifesting. In the cartoon, I forgot who was the voice of God. As he gave Donald Duck the tour of heaven. You know what? That sounds like the Divine Comedy. Remember the Divine Comedy? Where an angel takes Homer into hell. They called it Dante's Inferno. Remember Dante's Inferno? That kind of sounds like that. There's so many similarities. You know, like Prometheus, the story of Prometheus. His liver was eaten by an eagle. And Jesus gets stabbed in the side. Wasn't it his right side where the liver is? Jesus was stabbed by a spear while he hung on the cross for humanity. And it's kind of like the story of Prometheus. He was chained to a rock for humanity. Zeus was going to let him go if he stopped helping humanity. And it was Prometheus' choice to stay chained to the rock. And his liver was supposed to be eaten with some fava beans and an iced Chianti. So isn't that interesting? They call it the Judeo-Christian, no, to the Jew first and also the Greek. In the Bible it mentions that. To the Jew first. So they're trying to appeal to the Jews and to the Greeks. So anyway, I think these are things we can ponder. You know, What are we being fed, and who's feeding it to us? Donald and the notebook with him to take notes about the two places. Isn't that interesting? I forget which angel it was in the I guess that's our trivia. In the story The Divine Comedy, they called it Dante's Inferno. There was an angel that took Homer, I think it was Gabriel, took Homer through the 9 levels of hell. You know, the people who committed suicide, the people who lusted, the people who were gluttons, the spendthrifts, you know, and the misers and the spendthrifts, you know. I think it's a look into our psychology, what makes up our psychology. All these are analogies. Good, God and the devil, how the devil tempts us to be evil, how we sometimes give in to and are punished for our evil ways. Hopefully, we're punished for our evil ways. But you know what? Things take care of themselves. Look at Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy and, you know, to name a few. They all met their fate. Thoughts on Steve Irwin? I must say bye. It was a pleasure. Yeah, well, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining. Steve Irwin, it was a horrible mistake. And he was known by a lot world over. I think he was known. You're welcome. Thoughts on sprinkler systems? They have those in California. Here it rains enough to keep the grass growing, but in California you have to turn on the sprinkler systems. I've had to work with sprinkler systems. They break a lot. They break a lot when people mow the lawn, or sometimes they break underground and they cause trenches underground. They waste a lot of water. Wait a second. It's 1:45. I'm going to eat lunch. It's kind of late for lunch, but I'm going to eat lunch. Have a good day. It's been an hour. Thoughts on the Ring doorbells, where you can... I like those. It's a good idea. A lot of cool footage gets caught on those Ring doorbells. Thoughts on you eating lunch? I'm going to do it now. Have a good day.